Good morning all and welcome to this morning's webinar. So on behalf of Solutions IT, I'd like to welcome you to this webinar, which is Minecraft for Education. Running the session today is Steve Sockus, and Stephen Payne will be moderating the Q&As. I'll hand over to you now, Steve.
Thanks, Sarah. Just confirm you can hear me really well at the moment. So thanks everyone for joining us. And thanks to Steve. Perfect, thank you. Thanks, Steve, as well for jumping into moderating. So for those of us who have joined it, you'll see the Q&A section is available through the chat feature, and we've already populated or populating links in that space for you to share some resources. So yeah, my name's Steve from Standard Education over here in Perth, and welcome to you all. Thanks for joining us, and we're going to get stuck straight into learning about Minecraft education, which has recently been given to all schools for free. So pretty much all the state schools in the country, all the Catholic schools here in Perth. I think there's even the Anglican schools who we were waiting for licensing. That's been brought forward, and they now also have access. And of course, it's recently been added as well to one of the programs that you can use for remote learning. And those links to how to get started for using Minecraft for remote learning will be in the chat as well. Okay, so today, look, we're going to fly through an overview. This is not really going to be a session where you're going to be able to jump in and launch worlds in and out and follow on. So really today is about giving you a taster of what is possible, having a look at some live worlds and some lesson plans, and really just getting you started on your journey with Minecraft education for your students. So many of you who maybe seen Minecraft and experienced at Minecraft looking over the shoulder of a student, you might have seen them all running around, probably killing each other. And that's probably back dating back to how Minecraft originated. People being creative, mining certain objects. So they'd have to mine trees to get wood, go into the side of the mountain to get blocks, and go deeper in to find caves and diamonds and rare products. That's how it started. But then you know, pretty much in 2014, Microsoft bought Minecraft off Mojang and then started layering it with a whole bunch of tools around education, which now come to include things like chemistry and links into a whole bunch of learning areas. So look, it is a game about building blocks. It's very squarish in its look, and it's really starting to change the way we teach. And it sort of falls in the category of game-based learning. And you'll see hopefully today that we can teach just about anything in Minecraft. So I'll move on. I'll fly through this timeline. You can see there that I mentioned the acquisition of Minecraft back in 2014. We're also going to have a look at the code builder stuff and the links to material, but you'll have links to all this stuff in the chat. Let me just fly through these decks. And in fact, let me just jump out of this altogether and launch Minecraft. Okay, so students back at home, when they launch Minecraft EDU, I recommend, if you're trying to guide students on where to download it, if you haven't downloaded it yourself, you'll become familiar, hopefully by the end of today, with the education.minecraft.net website. And when you look at that website, you'll find a download option, which is a link that you can send all your teachers and your students to download the latest copy. It is available on Windows-based machines, on Mac OS, and on iPads. So not available for any other devices other than those, but most devices it will cover. And it's free. So when our parents and our students go to the store, they'll see that's a download for free. However, when they do log in, they'll get prompted to log in with their school account in order to make use of it. So once you're in, you basically hit this screen, which allows you to start playing, and there's some settings there, and there's some opportunities for you to look at and change the way you look. And these are what they call education skins. By looking at those really quickly, you can start seeing that we can start introducing characters into the world of Minecraft, and the world of digital storytelling is very much possible. So once you've logged in with your version of Minecraft EDU and click on play, you're going to hit a dashboard which has got a combination of features. So view my worlds is obviously all the worlds that you've opened. Those worlds are stored on your computer, or if the student was to click on one of those worlds and launch it on their iPad, the world actually lives on their iPad. And we're going to hopefully cover as well the way that kids can create a world, and even you as a teacher can create a world and share that with the students back at home. We're also going to see things like a view library, and this is a new dashboard that's evolved over recent times to include links to the lesson plans across the various learning areas, and we'll explore those in later detail later on in this session. The monthly build challenges include a whole bunch of just great challenges that will allow kids that you can push those out. You can push out a monthly challenge. So if we're experiencing some issues with logging into the website, I'm just going to soldier on. We are getting obviously lots of traffic, and my computer is also trying to stream Teams and Minecraft at the same time. Biomes and worlds, you can obviously then see that with biomes, we've got a whole bunch of preloaded biomes. And again, I'm not sure if this is going to come up, but yep, perfect. All right, we've got desert biomes, we've got ice plains, and so the world of humanities and even science with ocean biomes and stuff are worlds that we can instantly download and interact with. I'll just toggle back into that. So the last one I'll point out to you is for people who are starting Minecraft for the very first time, then there's a couple of places you can go. Obviously this one here, the how to play. The how to play area will bring you to a space where you can go through a tutorial that will guide you through how to move through the world of Minecraft and start building. And my experience from teachers when you first get started is you'll dig lots of holes. You'll be looking to place a block when you first start, and you'll find yourself deep in the ground. And so don't despair. There are some tools that I'll quickly show you to get you out of those situations. So I'll toggle back into my worlds, and then we'll have a look at what's possible. So this is a world that I've just launched. It's called Blocks of Grass. And I quickly jumped in here earlier today and did some building. So if I move my way up into a sign, you can see that there is a sign that I've quickly put together. Now on the left-hand side, I might just scroll over this way so I don't distract you with everything that's on screen. To the left of the screen, that when you jump into Minecraft for the very first time, you'll have the controls appear on screen. So it'll tell you that W, S, A and D are your opportunities to move, and you'll see a crosshair, and the crosshair when you use your mouse is your eyes. Okay, so that is obviously the case for when you're on a desktop device and using a mouse and or using a trackpad on a laptop. However, if you're using a iPad, then you are pretty much going to touch the screen, and wherever you touch the screen, that's where the crosshair will go to look. So if I come back to this, some of you might have noticed that there was an extra button that appeared that when I hovered over my sign, and so I might quickly get this out the way right now, and that's that Minecraft has got the world of Immersive Reader. So when I create this sign and I hover over it, you'll see that down the left hand where I've got the WSAD and further down, I've got Immersive Reader. So if I press I, that will load that sign up and be able to give me the ability, I'll fast forward through these wizard tips, so that'll happen to you the very first time you've done it, and I can actually press play. Thanks for joining us. Okay, and have those words read back to me. For students with vision impairment and learning difficulties, we've got the ability to personalise these features by clicking on these options to quickly change font size, the spacing, the types of fonts, and obviously the colour of the background. We've got grammar options, so I've got the ability to tag nouns, verbs, adjectives and the like. So please explore Immersive Reader, and I'll quickly flick on this one as well, which is the reading pane or reading preferences that will let me convert this into any other language, and I can convert the whole sign very quickly and easily. So already killer tool for having the immersion of languages inside of Minecraft. So when you get started, I dare say when you go through tutorial, you'll launch some worlds, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about the settings for those worlds. So I'm just going to press escape right now and look at the settings that you have when you play Minecraft. So by default, when you launch a world through the template area, your world should be set to creative. And if it's not, we can show you how you can quickly change that. Now, the modes are this. You've got a survival mode. So survival mode, when you're in that mode, will actually mean that you actually have a whole bunch of little hearts. And you'll see down the very bottom above my inventory or my quick access inventory, I have a whole bunch, hello little piggy. I have a whole bunch of hearts and some armor, and that's the origins of the game. You know, literally if I was to jump off a tall area, gravity applies and I would obviously get some damage. The other thing about that process of it being in survival mode is that you'll find that when you click on your inventory, you actually don't have anything in your inventory. You have to go and collect and mine and find things to be able to build with. So the beautiful thing about the modes is, for the most part, for schools and kids, almost everything you will do will be in creative mode. Now, creative mode essentially means you don't need to go ahead and find things to build with. I can click on E, which is the inventory. Okay, and I'll find I've got a whole bunch of things that I can use, wooden blocks, stone, quartz, and I can drag these things into my inventory. And then using the scroll wheel on my mouse, I can toggle through. For iPad users, you just basically click on that block and or touchscreen devices. So I've got a Surface Pro and I can do the same thing with that. And essentially you'll see to the right bottom corner of screen your ability to place and mine. So essentially where people start making mistakes is that we've got the buttons mixed up and they'll start digging holes like that rather than building blocks. So you essentially just start building, and you'll find collections. You know, you'll get used to going to inventory, finding glass, and building things. So here's a little structure I knocked up really quickly. I might just very quickly as well, sorry, click on my sound settings and just turn those sound effects off. So here's a building that I quickly knocked up together full of wood and concrete and stuff, and I start building. So kids can really explore their imagination, their creativity, and excuse me, and really start flying through building stuff. And they can do this collaboratively. So the remote learning package that we're linking to on the right hand screen does give teachers the ability to send a link out to students or give them an address that they can all join a communal world. So more information about that coming, but in a school setting, normally if you were to run this in a class, yeah, students would be able to join in and co-build. So just some of the features available. The other thing I'll also point out is that when you're in creative mode, you'll see on the right of screen that you've got the ability to fly. So if it says there, I can double tap my space bar and start flying around. And that's a quick way of maneuvering around the worlds, but it lets you jump from island to island or through the world and move around. And then you can double tap to drop back down and do that. So you can't do that in survival mode, only in the creative mode. Other elements that exist inside of Minecraft, and I might just get this out of the way while I've got this world up and running, is you'll see to the right of screen, one of the buttons there is called Code Builder. So if I click on Code Builder, it will launch Code Builder, and we obviously encourage everybody to make the use of a free tool, which is Microsoft MakeCode. So this is now bringing elements of computer science and digital literacy for students. So within this space, when you first launch it, I'm going to be able to show you that there are a whole bunch of tutorials that live there, and people are uploading stuff to here all the time. So within the coding area, we get a little character called an agent, cute little robot, where we can ask him to do certain or program him to perform certain tasks based on the commands that we have. So if I was to click on new project, just to show you how this looks, I'm just going to call that demo. It's a very visual based blocking block system. So I can do things like have a player. So when a player walks, I can ask him to start dropping blocks, and of course I don't want him dropping glass blocks, that'll look kind of ugly, but let's do some reforestation, and I can press play, and therefore that when I'm walking and I turn around now, I will see a whole bunch of saplings. Now over time those saplings will actually grow in the world of Minecraft. So Minecraft has got some parameters around, I believe it's 20 minutes from day to night. So you'll see that certain worlds will have the functionality to have day turn to night. And this might be a great time for me to jump into the settings and also just cover off on that. So I've just clicked on settings, and where I came to earlier to look at the creative modes. Peaceful is another mode as well. It's been added into Minecraft because of, again, the origins of Minecraft were, if you're in a world, there were some people that attacked you or spiders. And of course, we don't want that to, we don't want to upset little kids. So we have peaceful world where nothing really ever attacks you. And then down the bottom, we've got some settings, which I think are important to maybe just point out to you, and that in this particular world, it's always day. So blocks of grass, the template by default always has a setting for always day. So it's a great platform to get people to start building in. There's no point having start building and all of a sudden it turns into nighttime. And so make yourself familiar with that. And then there's some classroom settings as well. So if I expand that, you'll see that there are things like always have perfect weather. So perfect weather, if I press the forward slash comes up with a bunch of chat commands, and I have the ability to click on the time of day or the weather. So we can have some control over that, and I might come back to a future world and just show you how that works. But if I go back to my code builder, which is why obviously I just, sorry, getting sidetracked there a little bit, the code builder, we can actually start off with really basic types of code, and then start getting to some higher level coding, like I said, programming our agent to build a tower. Now, all those sort of things, like if I click on the agent, you'll see I can open an example and you'll see the layer of coding that's included. Now, kids, obviously, when they're coding, they can do two things. They can capture this code by pressing print screen and be able to put that into a journal of sorts and send it to you to show you their code. But if I press play now, so this one's actually got on chat command tower, I can press play, bring up the text box by pressing the letter T and type in tower. And if I stand back now, you'll see that my little agent is doing its program, starting to build a little tower for me. So some great tools, and of course for senior school kids, the ability to click over to JavaScript and do things in a more advanced mode that was probably more in line with their studies and their paths into future coding. So a quick look at the coding opportunities within Minecraft. So Minecraft does give you the ability, obviously, then to capture certain aspects of a kid's learning, and so they can show what they're doing by doing a number of things. I mentioned using print screen, or if an iPad, they can press the power and volume button to capture a screenshot on the iPad. Minecraft also has its own built-in functionality to be able to use the camera. So in the inventory, you'll learn when you go through the tutorial how to toggle and put a camera in your inventory. And if I use that camera, I can take a snapshot. And where's that gone? It's gone into my portfolio. So if I look at my portfolio, I can see that I can view that image, and I can even do things such as get in the shot. And this is kind of cool if you have a number of students in the world, that you can actually have a selfie and take that as well. So the finished product with a portfolio, if students were to use a portfolio to capture their learning journey, or even create a story, you know, to actually create the visuals to a story and then be able to write a storyline or a plot, and they can export that to a PDF, which they can send it to you, and you can see the Immersive Reader options available that are there as well. So I'll jump out of this world. Hello, Horsey. I'll jump out of this world and just show you a handful of other types of ways it can be used. So I mentioned it can be used in mathematics and chemistry. So I'm just going to have a quick look at those and then show you where to go to find more resources and take some questions. But if I launch that geocaching world, just a great example of how to use Minecraft for mathematics. So in this particular world, I've got a storyline where if I right click and interact, this is a non-playing character, and teachers and students can actually make these in their world, which help guide someone who's using that world to a storyline. So if I right click on talk to this person, he'll give me a greeting, and it tells me that a terrible wizard has stolen our prize positions, and we have some clicks, and do I want to accept the quest? And of course then discover more. So what you're going to learn about NPCs is we can link the real world and the web to Minecraft. So what this will actually do, this particular NPC, non-playing character, is linking to a Word document or a PDF, I believe, where it's got clues to this particular storyline. Now, this is where the maths part comes in that this particular clue is, and I won't really go through all this other than it's a plea to help and help them help us find these tools, return our ancient weapons and so on. And so what it does, it gives you a BIMDAS sort of type lesson plan where I need to find the solution to X, Y, and Z. So that's my clue. And then of course I work those out, and when I go back into my world, that I can teleport myself to the location. And so when I quickly work that out, oh, I'm busy getting shot by a villager because I didn't accept the request. So I might have to very quickly accept that guy's request. Okay, we're getting shot. Now, probably at this stage, that wasn't supposed to happen. So I am just going to let you know that with that, I can teleport to the location of the XYZ, which takes me to a secret cave and gives me the next location or a whole bunch of other equations where I can then start teleporting cave to cave, collecting all the valuables that the people have lost. Other things that exist, so if I jump across to the world of chemistry and play the world of chemistry, what they've done, this is brilliant. They have created a whole bunch of things. So if I go to an element constructor, particularly around kids being at home now, not having access to chemicals in senior school, and lab technicians who probably be asking or putting things together to make a whole bunch of experiments possible. You can see that if I start playing around with the element constructor, I've just made carbon, and I believe if I add that 2 more of each of those, I'll start making oxygen. But you can start making the elements. Take that a step further, and you can then start putting molecules together. So this is a compound creator. So the things that you've actually have put together. So my carbon dioxide, if I was to grab 2 molecules, actually come up, I can make carbon dioxide, I can make water and the rest of it. And this particular tutorial, which is called World of Chemistry, great place to start and gives students the ability to go ahead and I'm just going to grab 4 molecules of sodium acetate. And if I put those 4 molecules of sodium acetate together and combine them, what does it do? It makes a freeze bomb, which I just very quickly grab, and I can see that's in my inventory, and that will let me race outside and go to a testing area where I can find some water and throw my freeze bomb and give it a go. So a lot of great tools around that, and they've actually put the whole periodic table inside of Minecraft. So if I find any of these teleporters, I've got a periodic table that I can look at. You can even reverse engineer some things. So there's other tables that are there that obviously just don't have enough time to go into. So a very quick look at some of those worlds. So I'll just go into the library, and so when you hit this particular page and click on the library, essentially as a teacher, you'll click on lessons and click on any of these. So if I select computer science and there's an hour of code, that it will launch worlds. This one I definitely encourage, and this one, another Minecraft Code Town just got released recently. But the way they work is the hour of code. A lot of the lesson plans have a lesson plan which will link away to a website and give you a Word document with resources and show you how to scaffold and tell the kids, give them instructions. So for a lot of this, you can actually, the kids who are at home, you can just tell them to go to these areas and navigate to the hour of code through that lesson plan that we just went through, and they can create the world and start sharing. And you'll see that there is also a share link. So if you've got email communication with your students, definitely you can click on the share link and copy and paste the link to this particular world, and then just generate that email and say, hey guys, this is something I'm going to set for you to help engage with your students. So there's a lot of resources around, and I want to say that the network of people that are helping, that can help you within the world of Minecraft, there's many groups online, and I do have a slide in my slide deck, but maybe we'll put some links up around how you can connect with with the people at Microsoft and EDU. So there's a Twitter handle. Steve, I might ask you if you can paste the Twitter handle onto the chat feature. Now, if you do have a world that you've created and you want the kids to actually interact with, so here's a world that my kids actually sent me, and this is a great project. I got given the idea by Dr. Pusey out at Churchland Senior High School. You can see they're obviously a Catholic school. So my kids' school got together and created a collaborative build, and they built their whole entire school. This is a sort of unfinished project, but I had 24 kids all jumping on at the same time building this world. So great STEM-based projects that you can achieve with your classes. And if you had all 24 kids in your, how many kids, I think the limit is 24, you do have the ability to use the text options and start chatting to each other. And that's probably one of the reasons why Minecraft EDU has been added to the remote learning pack of apps that you can use with your kids. So some great resources and great ideas being posted out all the time through the Minecraft world. So keep an eye on that. And I might just cheekily sneak in a plug here that if you do a search for Standout Education, better spell that correctly, and find us on Facebook, that you will find a great resource. We just posted the other day that had a monthly activity, which was something you could generate and give out to your kids. So feel free to come along here and like us. Yeah, there's a page, a monthly page, where there's a whole bunch of challenges. Wait for that to load up. But in essence, I'll wrap up there and just see if there's any questions that have come through. So Steve, do you want to jump online while that's loading up and just feedback as any questions that we need to answer?
Thanks, Steve. Answering the questions as I go. There's a couple here that I haven't mentioned yet, that I haven't got to yet. Can you hear me, Steve? Can you hear me, Steve?
Steve, you're on mute.
Can you hear me, Sarah?
I can, yes.
Okay, so a couple of questions that I haven't yet got to. I'll just answer them, seeing as we've got a couple of minutes here. So Chris has asked, how do I create a world for students to build in collaboratively? Excellent. And Alan has just asked, I started a server from home. However, students failed to access the world with just the code. Do they need my IP address also or something else? So that's a little bit technical, but I'm going to send you a link now. I actually did this last night with some students in at home, so it does work. I'm just going to what Chris has asked, and Alan, I'm going to just give you a reply to Alan's. So he said, I started a server from home. I've just put a link into a guy in New Zealand called Samuel McNeil. If you want to get students to join your world at home, you've got to actually do something called port forwarding. It's just changing a couple of settings on your router. I tried it last night and it worked a treat, and then students can just join with a code. So that's if you're working remotely, or if students are at home and you're at home, you can set up a world like that. I've just put the link in the Q&A. Chris, if you're in school or anyone else that's listening, you can join a world collaboratively with using a join code. Did you go through that, Steve?
I don't believe I did, but I'm happy to go through it quickly right now because I'm still projecting my screen.
Yeah, excellent. If you could just show how you generate the code. This works the same whether you are at school or at home, but if you're doing it at home, you have to have changed a few settings on your router. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, I probably didn't cover this one because it really has ramifications for people being in the same space at the same time. But here, I'm just going to very quickly come to my Arana world. So if I wanted to invite students to this particular world, I'm going to press escape. And you're going to see a hosting option just to the right of the first block that's there. So in that hosting tab, I'll see an option to start hosting, and it'll give me a confirmation. Now, what it then does is provides a code. So the way this would work in a classroom setting is that if I wanted groups of students to work together, that one student would make the world, and then he would go to this hosting area, generate the code, and then he would tell his friends, Apple, paper, cookie, or map, sorry, cookie and apple, and those students would type that in, and I'll show you where that is done. And it's probably, while that word IP address was mentioned, I'm just going to let you know that there are two ways to join the world. Obviously, we made it easy for kids by providing a visual-based join code, and that prevents other kids we don't want to join the world from coming in. But I'll also just point out that we're on screen, we've got the IP address, which obviously for me is my local router or my modem that I'm connected to. So the other kids who are waiting to join a world, if I exit this, on that opening screen where I launched worlds, that one of the main buttons is, wait for that to come up, is join world. So the other kids would all sit around waiting for that code to be generated, and then they would go ahead and do Apple, map, and the combination of codes that were supplied. I'll just minimize and get that out of the way. At this point here, and this might help to answer the question that comes through about remote learning, in case the students can't jump on with the code, then they have the ability to click on the three dots here, and they'll see an IP address. So it's likely that the teachers who are launching a world from home will have to send the students an IP address and then teach the kids how to go and navigate to the join world option, the three dots, and manually enter that so they can all get on. Does that answer that question, Steve?
Yeah, that's really good, thanks. Could you also just show how you can export a world to put up on Connect or your own website or something like that? Sure.
So if I'll might as well keep on with Arana Primary. If this particular world, you can see how it's actually, the size of it is only 1.9 megabytes. So it's actually a smallish file. And so I've got a couple of options around that before I don't want to launch into the world, because this option won't appear if I'm inside the world under settings. But if I click on the world, I'm going to see a settings tab. And when this box appears, I will scroll down to the right of screen, and that will activate a couple of options, which is to copy the world, to export the world, and obviously then delete the world. If you're playing early days, you might want to make yourself clean up the worlds that you're opening. But if I export the world, that's basically going to give me an opportunity to click on a location and save. And you do have then the ability, because of the file size is relatively small, if it's 1.9 and I'm not dealing with a big world, you can email that. I know some staff are going to OneDrive and pasting that world in a OneDrive location. So if I was to go to OneDrive and navigate there, if you wanted to, if the world was too big in terms of sending an email, you can drag that world into a OneDrive location and generate a link from that space. So one of the opportunities you've got to do that. I think if I click on my Minecraft folder, I might have a couple of worlds that are in there. So maybe just to follow through and cover off on that. Here's what a world looks like. The extension is a MC world. This is the geocaching world. So once you've dragged that into your OneDrive location, you'll see an option to share, and that'll generate a link. It'll also generate email addresses that you can forward on to your students. So then they have, it doesn't actually link up their worlds to yours. You have to be using the server and doing the remote system for that, but it will give them a resource that they can start with. So just giving them a template that they can work from and work individually. Any other questions come through, Steve?
So I'm just answering a few. They seem to be quite specific, so I'm answering them privately. Hang on.
Okay, so maybe,
okay, I think that's fine. If there's any other links you want to share, then yeah, we'll end with that.
Yeah, I think really at the end of the day, to get started, make your way to the education.minecraft.net website, and you'll see that on here. Obviously, I directed everybody here earlier at the beginning of this session to look at the download option to find and download the latest copy of Minecraft EDU. But you'll also see there's class resources to get trained. Now, the Get Trained section will possibly navigate you away to the Microsoft Education Center, and there are a whole bunch of courses that are badge courses. I believe the main one is My Minecraft Journey, and you can click on that if you're looking for tech issues back at school. Obviously, tech support's there, but you'll see that there are courses that you can start undertaking and work you through at your own pace to get your skill set with Minecraft up and running. So education.minecraft.net, bookmark that, and you'll see that many of the features and the courses here will break off into the Education Centre. So log in on the top right of the screen once you hit there, and you'll start courses like Minecraft Journey. So Steve, unless you jump in, I think we're going to wrap up there, and obviously the communication channels are open with Sarah at Solutions IT and us at Standout Education. So hopefully we've given you a whole bunch of resources and answered a few questions to get everybody started. But please explore the exciting opportunities that Minecraft has to offer in relation to remote learning.
So just to recap, we will have the recording up on our news section of the Solutions IT site later this morning, along with lots of links that Steve will be sending to me. So keep an eye out for that. I will also email those people that I have email addresses from via Eventbrite. Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, unless there's anything else, thank you very much for attending this webinar. There is the PowerPoint webinar is today at 2 o'clock. If you haven't registered for that, again, go to our site under events and you can follow the links to register for that. And also note that we will be putting on some more PD next week. That should be up later today as well. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.